happy being there? Are they there because they were told they have to do this, they're not really sure? You know, there's a range, every range of comfort level. So you need to look at them. You check their posture, their body language. If they're standing like this, you know, there's immediate tension, and you can see it in the way they stand. And so if you get them to relax, then they'll start to work with you a little. You could start with some physical things. You know, have them roll their shoulders. This helps immensely with a lot of things. Have them bend their knees a little bit. Simple, no stress things that everybody does. And that will help them settle down and be a little more amenable to what you're teaching them. And I always start with something really positive. They need to know that what they're doing is a good thing. And I'll say this several times. I always say, nothing is bad or wrong. Don't ever say, oh, that was bad. Because people beat themselves up all the time. You probably all do it too. Oh, that didn't sound right. Oh, I hate hearing my voice. Oh, I blah, 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 right? All the things. And you have to start by saying something positive. Like, usually I'll say, now, we talk about posture, and you have really good posture. And then the person goes, oh, hey, yeah, because they do. I mean, I'm not going to give a false compliment, right? But they are standing straight because they're trying to do their best. I said, and, you know, your face shape is good for this type of a sound, or, you know, something to that effect. So you make them feel like they are valuable, and you should be able to teach them, and what they learn is only to make them better at what they're already doing well. And if things are said, well, you're not doing that or not doing that, keep the negative, everything's out of it. It's all positive, all supportive. So if you can't say something positive, say something constructive. And say, I usually say, like, I love your posture. Now, roll your shoulders a little bit and relax, and that will add to that. You'll be a little more relaxed when you sing. And then they go, oh, yeah. And pretty soon that relaxes their voice because it's all tied in together. So the Sweet Adeline PVI plan is well documented, and Sweet Adeline is international. There are documents with documents and documents. I went into the documents, and there's reams, right? Paula's like, yeah. And you can find something written up on pretty much anything you have a question about. It's amazing, the resource. So look for that. When you start a PVI, this is one thing I always forget. I have to keep reminding myself. I have to remind them to either take notes with a pencil and paper or use a voice recorder. I recommend a voice recorder because they can use a TE tuner. They can use, one of mine says voice memos on my phone because I have an iPhone. I use voice memos for everything, quartet practices, coaching sessions, all the things, because it's right there and you just go bam, bam, start, stop. And so if they're recording it, they can relax and do what you're talking with them about. And it's all on there. So later they can say, wait, what did she say about? And then they can go back and hear it again and do it. So a voice recorder is a good thing. You ask them what their goals are. You have a short time with them. So they usually come in with some burning questions. So you say, so do you have, you know, what is it you want to get out of your PVI? Do you have questions you want answered? And a lot of times they say, like I did 4 PVIs this morning, 3 of them said, well, when I get to this certain note, I can't always sing it. And I said, that is a common problem. This happens with everybody. And then we talk about your vocal register. We talk about your passaggio, which is your break, what's comfortable and not comfortable to sing, how to approach it vocally. So your music leaders need to have knowledge of some of these skills. If you're going to teach a student how to blend a voice, you better know what that is. And you need to find this out by getting your own PVIs and getting your own voice lessons. Because when you sing and you approach a place that is in your break, it's not comfortable for anybody. And women, we have 2 breaks. The female body voice has 2 breaks, 2 passagios. Rude. Guys have 1, right? I know, right? Guys have this big, glorious chest voice and then this falsetto, and they have trouble in the middle. Well, we have a chest voice, then we have a head voice that is in our comfortable mid-range, then we have an upper head voice that you have to transition how you sing those notes into. And there will be the same much of discomfort about an octave higher from where you have discomfort in the first place. Mine's between an F and a G. So if I know I'm singing up above that F and G, I'm here and I'm going woo, 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 and I have to approach it differently to get those really high notes to go. And so let them know that that's normal and it's okay to have that. You are human. And don't feel like it's a bad thing, or don't stress about it. You just have to learn how to work with it and how to work up and down. Like I said, nothing is bad or wrong, only improvements in their skill set. Be a good listener. When they are stressed about something, my last PVI today, she's very sweet. We went over because I had nobody after her, and I don't like to follow the alarm. And so she had more talking than she had singing. And you could tell she was clearly stressed about being there. And so we talked a lot at first, and I answered a lot of questions, and I gave her examples. And then we sang a little bit, and she has all kinds of jaw tension and tongue tension and neck and throat tension, and her posture was like this. And I said, okay, roll your shoulders. And she went, oh, that's better. And then I said, open your mouth. A lot of people sing and they go, oh, and there's all this tension here and they're trying to get the notes out. Well, that doesn't help anything, because when muscles tighten up, they don't function the way they're supposed to function. And you have your neck muscles called your scalenes. You have your erectors that go on either side of your spine. You have your trapezius muscles, which are they go not trapezius, they go up your shoulders and they go up your neck, and you have all of these muscles that work together and many layers of a whole bunch of other muscles in there, tiny ones. My massage therapist has found them all. And they all hurt frequently. So she works on my scalenes a lot. A lot of people have tension. So if you ever have tension here, do this to your neck. And it might have your chorus do that. Just take the flat side of your knuckles and just start at the top about where the hook of your jaw goes there and stretch down. Doesn't that feel good? And then move back a little bit. Use a little bit of lotion sometimes maybe so you don't have it too tight. And then you do your erectors, which are right down the back on either side of your neck and into your shoulders. And you start to relax all of that, and then the vocal cords relax. Shocking, I know, right? So if you've got this tension, and this jaw tension's a big one, you've probably seen members in your chorus singing like that. I want to sing, and their face is like this. You look at them and go, and if they can get their jaw. And then the thing that they always say, well, you shouldn't open your mouth too far. Well, true, but then people go the other way around and they close it. And I had a student this morning who said that comment. I was told I opened my mouth too far. I said, well, this is too far. Because you go, oh, you don't want that. But you do need it open. Like Lori Lightfoot teaches, like the cut space or the cud space or the book space. So if you say book, it's open so far. I say take 2 fingers. Everybody take 2 fingers. Put one on your bottom front teeth and one on your top. And actually put them on your teeth. And they're your teeth or your germs, it's okay. And when you sing, just do 1 to 5. Do, oh. Try that. Oh. Okay, how many of you felt your jaw start to bite? You feel your bottom teeth start to come up? Now let's go higher. Oh. Oh. Feel any tension on that bottom one? Now do oh, something like that. Try that. Anything you want to sing. So, were you able to keep it completely relaxed so your fingers don't feel any tension in your jaw? If you can, this is a good thing. If you feel your jaw biting, you've got some jaw tension. Words will do that too. You sing, I love to sing. Oohs and e's, short vowels, they'll close off. So you, I love to sing. All right, try that. I love to sing. Did you notice any specific vowel that it starts to close on? Usually e's will do it. And if you feel yourself biting into your finger, that's a place of tension. So you circle these words on your music and you say, relax your jaw on this. I love to sit, IH, target vowel, not E, okay? I love to sing. No, don't sing this way, it's not good. There's no resonance, right? Or very little. Your resonant space goes from this to that. and you have your voice going in there. So if you see a singer who's doing this, you know, we are going home and we are going there. You can hear the vowels doing all kinds of weird things. You have no target vowel in there. And what you need to do is wi, like W-I-H. We are going home and we are going there. Open the teeth. Tell them they can sing a vowel with their teeth apart. It's okay. But you don't speak it that way. And that's okay too. So, but when you're singing, you have to open it up. Otherwise, the chorus will have all of this chewy sound in there and nothing unifies. And the goal is a unified sound. True? So if you can catch them in a PVI and say, okay, when you sing this sound that has an E vowel, you're shutting down, and this is common. Let them know it's okay. It's common. Work on doing this instead. Or this one, I don't know where. You touch your fingertips to your collarbone. Use this curve of your hand. The back of your tongue can change the vowels. You don't need the teeth to do it. So you talk about chewing vowels. Always positive. You know, say you're doing this, and that's what everybody else does. So let's try this now and make it a little taller. And then you ask them for feedback. Say, did you hear the difference? And they go, wow. Because their voice usually doubles or triples when you open their teeth. It's such an easy thing, but it's hard. So in Sweet Adelines International, there are 2 documents. I gave you this big, massive, long, I didn't know how to do a hyperlink, so I didn't do it. The big URL that you can copy and paste when you put on your computer. And it calls up how to give yourself a PVI, which I thought was brilliant, right? And then personal voice instructions for instructors. So you should read that and say, if I'm going to give a PVI, I need to know basic mechanics about vocals and how to do these things. I should already had voice instruction or PVIs from somebody giving me feedback on my own personal education. And then I know some of the pitfalls that I've come into. The first thing I check is posture. Number 1, if they're standing like this and they're doing this, this is not a good thing. And there will be tension everywhere. So I said, okay, first thing you do is bend your knees a little, tuck your hips under. Like everybody stand up. And bend your knees a little bit and stick your bottom out back there. Let your stomach just hang. Bellies love to hang, okay? When this happens, all the weight causes your erectors in the back of your lumbar to go like this, because they have to work twice as hard. So what you need to do is tilt your hips under like this and raise up from the back of your neck. This is called good posture, of course, but not everybody has good posture all the time. Me included, years of dance training. I still check myself all the time. So you pull up from the back here, keep your hips under. I said, now take your thumb and put it in your belly button. And people are like, excuse me? I said, it's your belly button, you can poke it. Mine's kind of flat from having kids, so I find it. You put your hand down here. So you have 2 areas of abdominal muscles. You have lower and you have upper, right? So when you're doing basic breath support, you want to relax your lower abdominals. Just let them go down. I say, you have my permission to get fat. Now you have my permission to pull it in and get skinnier, right? Notice I didn't say skinny, it's skinnier, right? So, I mean, I have a few friends who are quite thin, but this is not me. And most of us, as we age, we have more around the middle, right? So it's okay, and it's not a bad thing, it just is. So relax your lower abdominals and pull them back in. All we're doing is identifying muscle groups. If you can find them and know how they feel, then you know how to use them when you need them, right? So if you've ever watched little kids or babies sleeping, and their little bellies rise and fall when they sleep, and their little hands are like this, and they're so cute. And that's how we breathe when we sleep too. That's what your body naturally does. Your air goes low, and then it goes back up this way. When your abdominals relax, it pulls your diaphragm muscle down. Diaphragm muscle is an involuntary muscle, and it's stuck underneath the lungs, and it divides the lungs from all the squishy stuff, right? Everybody says, sing from your diaphragm. Well, The only way to do that is to use your lower abdominals. And what that does is when you relax, your lungs expand because the diaphragm muscle gets pulled down. And then when you pull in gently like this, it brings it up and gives you that foundation of support you need for the air to not come out so quickly. So another way to help this is to keep your, that's my PVI 20 minutes. So keep your knees bent, hips under, and I learned this from Kim Chadwick. She says, Marsha, you need to do some butt singing. I said, excuse me? And she said, when, and this saved me on international stage in my quartet, because I had to do a hanger. I hate hangers. I mean, I was singing bass, doing a hanger, fine. So I relaxed my knees, I kept my hips under, and I relaxed here, and as I pulled in, and I was holding this hanger, you squeeze your glutes together. I mean, literally, it's your butt cheeks, and you squeeze them. If you see me on stage, now you all know, I'll be on one foot, that's what I'm doing. Because if I activate these, all of a sudden you have all this power and control because your core is fully activated in what you're doing. And it involves none of this. This should be completely relaxed. Sorry. So, did I just knock it off? I did. Here, I'll do this. There, now it won't fall. Okay, so if everybody does this, relax your abdominals. Now, you already have air, and you just did a silent breath. There's air in there ready to sing. You don't have to breathe in again. So just pull in your abdominals while you sing and go, oh. Now squeeze, oh. Pull in a little more. Do you feel the power at the end of that? Phrase endings. There's your phrase ending right there. If you can do that and get your chorus to do that, all of them are doing, oh. And you end when you want to, not when you're dying and going, oh. The goat girl comes out, right? No goats, it's bad. I used to have pygmy goats. They go, so you don't want to sing like that.
Marsha,
Okay, yes.
Question. Is there something you can do to address some of our more mature members that are just bent over?
There are some, physical ailment, diseases, growth problems that cause your body to hunch. And there's nothing you can do about that because it's growing that way. You can teach them more about this and have them stand as straight as they can. They're not going to be able to do this unless their spine gets physically fixed, which may or may not be able to happen. I have a horrible back. I have had 6 rear-end car accidents. I was just sideswiped by an idiot in April. I see the chiropractor regularly, like every week at least. I do deep tissue massage therapy. If it wasn't for that, I'd probably be in a wheelchair by now. So I do a lot of stretching and a lot of things. So there are things I cannot do. I have a reverse curve in my neck. So if anyone comes up and tries to push your head back where it goes, that's painful for me. So you don't really want to be pushing on a student because you don't know what kind of physical issues they have. So I'm glad you said that. So you can just say, touch your fingers like these. When you go back here, the base of your skull, there's like 2 little bumps, right? Put your fingers underneath that and lift from there. And they will lift as high as they can lift. Tell them not to hurt themselves, just feel this extension. And then they could roll their shoulders. And even if they're hunched, like my mother's best friend had the shoulders where you have like a big hump on their shoulder. I forget what that's called, but yeah, very debilitating. And so she could not stand up straight. So all she would be able to do would be just to lift and stand as straight as she can. And then you encourage them to breathe low, belly, abdomen stuff. I had a voice student here at SET long ago who had had a horrible car accident, and she didn't really have any abdominal muscles. She has mesh across the bottom here. And she said, I don't understand when they say sing from your diaphragm. How am I supposed to do that when I don't have any abdominal muscles? And they say use your abdominals, and they're not there. So if I tried to do that, I could rupture the mesh. I'm like, yeah, we're not doing that. I said, there are other areas to breathe. There are your intercostals, where you can, stretch your rib cage out. You can also put your hands on your head. That helps lift the rib cage. A lot of us have done that in chorus rehearsals. And it also relaxes your sternum, which is good. And there are back muscles right back here. So if you do a 3-dimensional breath, you can breathe down here first, in which case she wouldn't do that. She would do this and do the back muscles and stretch them out. It's like when you fill a water balloon and all the water comes in the bottom like this. So it doesn't just go on one side, right? It's round. So you have round, round, round. So she could do this one and this one. I said, you leave your belly alone. It needs to be the way it is for you to live. And she's like, yes. I said, so do those. And she's still singing. She loves singing. And it's been a great thing for her. So, and she has this wonderful, huge voice. And she's able to support it by using back muscles and ribs. So, yeah, you have to modify with people with physical issues. I mean, and you never ever say, well, you can't do that because of, or, well, if you can't stand up straight, then this is not okay. All the negative stuff has to go away. You can't say that. You know, there's negative, you can't say that. You just say, you really stand up nicely. Can you lift from the back of your head? You know, can you roll your shoulders? Can you tuck your hips? Is this comfortable for you to do? And if they say it's not comfortable, I said, is it painful? And they said, yes. I said, then don't do that one. You know, do something that is comfortable. You don't want to hurt people, they're your singers, you know? And if they feel more comfortable about the fact that they've probably ever been beating themselves up or the fact I can't stand straight like everybody else. How many people do you know who have an issue, who put themselves down inside because they're not able to do what everybody else is doing the same way? My mom had rheumatoid arthritis. She also had emphysema, which turned into COPD from asthma. She was on the risers on a stool. She lived for the sisterhood and the camaraderie, and it just drove her. But she had so many physical problems. I would put her chair in the risers and I would help her onto her stool. She couldn't raise her arms up this way. She couldn't do that because of the rheumatoid arthritis. So she did this and she did that and she smiled and she moved with everybody else and she was fine. And she always felt bad that she couldn't get up and do it like everybody else. And I said, Mom, are you kidding me? I said, you're the one with the best smile on the risers. You're the one who's still in sync and you've got it down. I said, you just be proud of yourself for who you are. So you have to give that back to your people because we're all different and that's okay. And we're supposed to be. You don't want robots. Think of the sound. We are going to sing. No. Okay, so on to my next segment here. Any other questions about PVIs? You know, train yourself before you train someone else. That's my bottom line there. Don't start teaching people things that you don't know anything about. So get somebody who knows. Bring in a coach to help train your team leaders, your music leaders, about the certain ways to do certain things that really makes for a positive experience in a PVI. You stress somebody out and they'll quit your chorus. They're stressed. They would not come into a place of stress. They came there to sing, right? Well, I can't do this right, and I can't do this right, and I can't do this right. Jan Carly, you guys know who she is. She's a motivational speaker. And she does a lot of unity things and connectivity things. And one thing she said a long time ago, she says, when you say things that are negative in your head, they're ducks. And they go, well, you can't do that. I can't stand up straight. I'm not doing that right. I didn't hit that note right. I'm having trouble here. I'm having trouble there. She says, shut the duck up. I was like, I'm so using that. It's the best phrase ever because they're negative. I have in my studio, I have these little river ducks that kids have given me, and I have a quartet of them. They're all sitting up on my shelf. And my one student who wouldn't sing for like 3 lessons, I finally said, you know, if you sing with all that tension, you've got to relax and just let the air come out, and then the ducks are happy. But the minute you have tension, those are ducks. So I turned them around backwards, and she'd go, no, they're rubber ducks. I said, now if you get that relaxation, we can turn them back around again. She goes, okay. It's really funny. She was like 14. She was awesome. And she eventually sang in a recital and did a really good job. I was so over the moon proud of her. Yeah. So, okay, individual vocal education. That's what you got to do. That's what a PVI program gives to your chorus. Individual assistance in how to sing well. Vocal technical awareness, physical, all the stuff I just talked about, there's a lot more than that. We didn't even talk about relaxing all that in the back of the throat and all those things that you hear in vocal classes. Those are all good too. But if you don't have a core and you can't relax your muscles in your neck, you're not going to get that sound you want. You're going to get the tense sound, and that's the reason for it. And then you can start working on the shape and the sound and the vowel tunnels and all of that stuff. It reinforces all the skills for the chorus. It also gives you a common terminology, common language for your chorus, and that's an important thing. It's also a quick, no-cost, one-on-one vocal music education lesson. In voice lessons, I'm not very expensive. I charge $70 an hour. Okay, that's on the less expensive side of private lessons. Most people, it's 100 to 150, just depends. It's a lot, $150 a lesson. You go 4 times a month, you get $600 invested in that. That's a lot. So I keep it down, but I also will teach 45-minute lessons to some people. I don't do 30-minute voice lessons, it's just not long enough. And so, but usually an hour is the best. So 45 minutes to an hour, and 45 minutes is like $50. So it's less expensive, but my education and my time is worth them paying for it, and I should be compensated for that, but I'm not overcharging. So find a voice teacher that you really like their methodology, and if it's too expensive, go once a month, if they'll do that, once every 2 months. Go for a good lesson, get a lot of information, and then work on it for a while, then call them back up. I let drop-ins come in my studio. I do Zoom lessons. I Zoomed a girl from Coeur d'Alene Chorus for a long time. We had a blast. So let's see. Vocal unit sound consistency is what this gives your chorus program. Before you begin, directors and music leaders must meet for a unified style and approach. If your music team and director don't sit down and talk about this before you start it, nobody's on the same page. You have to decide what kind of system you want to do, who's going to do what, do the meet job descriptions plan. You have to set a plan and how often we're going to do this, and that all has to be, there's many ways, so that all has to be done first before you do anything else. Choose your PVI instructors carefully, the ones that are positive, the ones that don't walk in like this and say, stand up. It's like already the students like this, just don't scare them and they'll run away real fast. We don't want that. Train your PVI instructors with practice sessions. Have them give each other PVIs. Have the director, if the director knows about PVIs, give each one of them a PVI. If the director doesn't know that much about PVIs, have someone in the chorus who's been doing regular lessons and knows more, give the director a PVI. All the leadership needs to know what they're doing and what they're focusing on in order for it to make a good program. It says, choose a music team leader to be the PVI program coordinator, not the director. Directors have a lot on their plate, and if you're a director, you know this, right? You get up there and you have this meeting, that meeting, these things here and those things there, and I know directors love to be organized and in the thick of things, but that's one thing you should not be running. PVI program should be outside of what you do, and you should be able to monitor the effectiveness of it. So, my opinion, you can do your own thing, but I don't want to overwork my director. Directors are golden, you gotta hang on to them. Okay, have a chorus meeting. Once you've decided all this, you sit down and you meet with your chorus, and the PVI coordinator leads the meeting, not the director, not the other team leaders, just that one person who's in charge of the PVI program, so they're getting information from one source. And says you to teach the chorus what a PVI is, why we're going to put it into our chorus plan, because it builds our unity and our sound and all of these things, and individual improvement. De-stress the members about singing one-on-one. That's a big important thing. Like I said, you'll have everybody from soloist at Carnegie Hall to can't squeak out a note in front of 4 rubber ducks, right? It's a big range. And if you have someone who it just makes them nauseous to do this, tell them they don't have to do it, it's okay. Invite them to sit in on a PVI to see what happens. Invite them to sing with someone else. So there's 2 or even 3 people in a PVI. You can have a small group and give them voice instruction. You can hear each one of what they're doing. I mean, if you know what you're listening for, you have 3 different voices all singing a little differently. And you can tell, and you can say, well, add a little this, add a little that, you need to open your mouth more. Give them one thing. Don't give them a lot of things. And have them do it over and over. And then, let's see, all chorus members, including PVI coaches, need to be on the list for PVIs, including the director, It's a team sport. You should all be doing it. Nobody is heads and shoulders above anybody else. I mean, some of us are trained more and we have more background, but that doesn't mean I learned things from PVIs, you bet. I've given tons of them, but I've had some too. And I take away like, oh, this worked good and this worked good, and I don't think I'm gonna use that one. It's just like coaching with a chorus or quartet. You choose the things that work well for you and you work on those. And then you get a PVI from someone else, you get some new insight. So let's see, how often PVIs will happen. What are you gonna do? What's your plan? Are you gonna have a PVI system every single week of chorus? Are you gonna do one of the 8 different ways I have listed in my paperwork? I have a few. There's other ideas than what mine are too. This is just a few. So here are some format ideas. How am I doing? Oh, I've had 5 minutes. Are there any questions on that so far? No? Everybody seems to be happy? Did you go to sleep? No. I will talk all day if you let me, so, right, Judy? Okay, so, chorus PVI format ideas. And this was a little bit of discussion with Paula and a lot of off the top of my head things and a couple new different ideas that I don't know if anyone's ever tried or not, but you can, okay? So, if you have PVIs being given to members, they're one-on-one things. So if you have a chorus of, say, 30 people, right? And you have so many in each, you've got 30 different people that need a 20-minute PVI, and you have to have a schedule for that. So who's gonna be giving the PVIs, who's gonna be taking the PVIs, and when, and how they're gonna do it, and what rooms are available, and all those things have to be done with the PVI team. They have to coordinate that. So the pros to having them before chorus rehearsal starts or after rehearsal is over, depending on your rehearsal, if it's not too late at night. Pros are there are no chorus interruptions during rehearsals, so aren't the people coming and going from risers, which some directors, it drives them insane. I hate lots of interruptions in my rehearsals. And I teach children, and I get interrupted all the time. And so one of them will go off to get a drink and I'll go, could you wait? Where's your water bottle? And they're like, what? I forgot. They're a 5th grader, right? So you could be responsible. Bring your water bottle. So I do that a lot. The pros are there are 3 singers per room can receive a PVI within an hour time frame, unless you're doing 2 or 3 people at once. You can get more in there. But if one person goes and you have 4 sections happening at the same time, if you have 4 rooms, you can have this person eventually in 1 hour teaching 3 different people, right? So you've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. You have 16 people involved in coming and going PVIs. Well, there's half your chorus of 30, right? So that's a lot of on and off stuff. So the pros of doing something before or after is beneficial for not having that much interruption in a rehearsal. You could have less rooms for PVIs. You can have more rooms. There's lots of things. Singers don't stress about missing rehearsal time if they're going before or after rehearsal. There are some singers that do not want to leave the risers for anything. They will miss something and it'll throw them off for the rest of the rehearsal. They are that zoned in and focused on what they're doing. And so pulling them out, doing it before or after is a better thing for them, for their focus and attention, and it takes the stress down. Remember? No stress. Nothing is wrong, no stress. The cons, coaches and or singers may not be available those times. I was never available to come before chorus because I have private lessons I teach to a certain time and then I jet to chorus. And I'd have to give up 2 lessons worth of income and time in that student's lesson to be able to do this. And I'm not getting paid for that, but I'm getting paid for that. So I couldn't do that. I could stay after because I'm a late night kind of person, right? Some people don't want to do that. They get done with rehearsal, they're exhausted, and they go home. The last thing they want to do is go get another 20 minutes of a singing lesson. And some people, that's the best time for them. So you don't know. I mean, that's in the scheduling if that's the plan you choose to do. The rooms may not be available depending on your rehearsal venue. And another con is traffic and late arrivals can cause missed times. And coaches can get angry and frustrated with this. People say, oh yeah, I'll be there, and they just don't show. Huh, see, now I'm supposed to start this. I'm proud of myself. I usually run over. Sorry. So, you know, traffic will mess things up. Late arrivals mess things up in your schedule. And you can't just sub somebody else in because they're not there yet, because chorus hasn't started, you know? Or someone's sitting there waiting and someone doesn't show, you can put that person in if it's afterwards, but it causes a jumble in the schedule, which is frustrating for all involved. So singers are tired and want to go home at the end of rehearsal, yeah. So that's the first plan, is before or after chorus, pros and cons. And does anybody have any other pros or cons to any of that? We're good? Okay. Plan number 2, during chorus rehearsals. So you can have, you have equal access to all members. So if someone's absent, then you can bring someone else out there for a PVI and nobody misses their time. And you stay in your schedule of getting everybody their PVIs. Like someone comes down with the flu that day, you know, it's not their fault. They're sick, or the C word, the COVID, right? Which is always bad. This is choking me, but I'm okay. I was like, so, but you have the people on the risers available. And you can say, okay, we're gonna have your PVI today because so-and-so's home with the flu. And then they just move up and they put the flu person after they get healthy, you put them back into the lineup of things. That's a definite pro. If someone's absence is replaced, skills learned can be practiced immediately. That's a definite plus. You have someone come off the risers, do 20 minutes, they learn 2 things they need to work on, they go back on the risers and they can immediately work on them because it's fresh. That's a good thing. Cons are disruptions, right? Singers on and off. Depends on your director, depends on your fellow chorus members. If the whole chorus says, I hate it when people go on and off the risers, it drives me crazy, I can't concentrate. It's an issue. Talk about it. You know, if the director says, you know, sometimes I'll just do this. I'm just getting through this song. You have to teach middle school choir to truly understand how to teach through things. The girl who stands up and very slowly walks down across the back of the room, right in front of you, in the middle of a song while you're directing. We're doing a Gloria Deo. She'll go over by the door, spits out gum she wasn't supposed to have in the first place, stands there and looks at it for a while, and looks up here, and looks over there. I mean, you talk about look at me disruption, and then she walks very slowly all the way back across in front of you. This is in your face. I don't want to do this, right? It's middle school. And she goes back up to her seat. And I was like, we're going to sing whether she did something or not. So we just sang right through it. And then I made a comment about, you know, being respectful to other people in the choir and not doing things like that. And that's disrespectful. And then I talked with her later and wanted to go like, I did not do that. So I'm a teacher, can't do that. But luckily in our choruses, we don't have people like that. Nobody that I know in an adult chorus is ever that rude. But it can happen. I got lots of middle school stories. So, and I love my middle school choir, they're awesome. So, talking may increase as singers come and go. You might have someone make a comment to somebody else, which is pretty common social behavior for human adults, right? And they'll say, oh, it's my turn, I can't wait. Or say, oh, I'm so nervous, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And they'll say, you'll be okay, that's fine. Well, if you've got 4 people nervous and 4 people or 8 people calming them down, half your chorus is talking when they're supposed to go do a PVI. So you need to set up the atmosphere so that, you know, they just come and go, but there's not chatter about it. And some will forget, and then occasionally gently remind, don't forget, you know, we gotta stay focused, and if they come and go, it's okay, let them go, and don't talk about it. Depends on your chorus. Some choruses are silent on the risers in between songs. It's rare, but it happens. We had that in Pride. We had to work hard for that. It was the chattiest chorus I've ever been in. 2001 through, gosh, I don't remember, 2012 or so. Lots of talking. Coaches would say, stop that, and we'd stop for a while. And then we'd get back to talking. And, you know, pretty soon, as you're working in that top 10 range in international, you need to shut up and sing. And so the chorus finally stopped talking, and it got to be a point where someone would say something and someone would go like this, please don't stop. Or just like, you know, and then we stopped each other from talking, and then it was way more productive rehearsal. Because there are breaks when you can talk, you know. So you need to obviously talk about that as your chorus makeup rehearsal, what is expected, not expected as a whole. So, and how PVIs will affect that, and the comings and goings. The momentum of rehearsal may be compromised. So if you're singing through something and 4 people get off the risers, you know, and someone's back there going, you're next, come on, you know, then that could disrupt things. Depends on you as a director. If you keep focused and ignore the girl walking in front of you who's got the gum, then you can work through that. And the singers will probably blend in better with the coming and going silently and respectfully. Most adult chorus members they're not disrespectful on purpose. It's usually a reflexive thing or a personality thing or a, you know, comfort level thing. You know, they're not purposely trying to irritate everyone. I don't think, unless you have someone to do that, you never know. So, chorus PVI format ideas. Is there any questions about number 2? That was this one, during chorus rehearsals. So we did before and after, and we did during, okay? So choose a different day, night, or time. And pros and cons together are singer's availability, venue availability, and coach availability. I mean, you have to have coaches who are dedicated to getting this done. If you've got a bass coach and their job is to PVI each one in their section, then they have to make those arrangements. So that gives them that much work on their own to get together with that person, and where do we do it, and when do we do it. It could be easy, it could be very difficult. Some people are like, well, you can't come to my house, it's chaos, and I got kids running everywhere and dogs are barking. That was mine. I had 4 boys. And I was like, I have to go somewhere else. So we'd have to find another location. Well, where do you go, you know? So sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. So it's pros and cons. And that would be an individual scheduling thing. So any questions on that? You guys are such an amenable group. Okay, number 4, Zoom and Google Meets. You can do PVI coaching and vocal coaching online. I had a voice student in Sri Lanka, and we had to deal with what time it was there is what time it was here. So the time I would coach her would be on a Friday night at like at 9 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night, because it was the next day in the morning in Sri Lanka. So I know, it was pretty fun though. And she was a younger girl, and her mom wanted lessons because she was talking like all the things they watch on TV. And that was her voice, and her mom was going crazy. She goes, would you please help her open up her voice? So we worked a lot on tall vowels, and we'd sing songs together. And she was pretty good at English, and she would bring in a song she wanted to sing, like Jingle Bells was one of them, you know? And so I said, just copy my mouth and go, jingle bells, because her issue was, and so we made everything tall. And over time, she got a lot better at opening her voice, and her mom said, thank you. So she reached out across the water, because I have another voice student that's from Sri Lanka, that's local, and they knew them, that's how that happened. And so, but that was pretty fun to talk about her country and her school life, and, you know, and then get her to talk naturally, and then get her to say something she wanted to say without that manufactured voice she had heard so much on TV with all of the different things that they hear that are little kid-like tiny voices. And Asian cultures especially. Like I was in China, and there's a lot of, yeah, cute. There's a lot of that. Girls are wearing the baby doll dresses. Adult women. Guys are taking pictures of them in front of things, and they're always cutesy. My niece is like that. Her mom is from Thailand. And everything she did as a kid was little tiny cutesy things. It's just a cultural thing. They do a lot of that. Yeah. So, and I was looking at that going, wow, because you look at our kids in the States, and sure they'll do some of that, but not like that was a It's a big difference, you know, and everybody turns out fine. So, okay, so let's see, Zoom and Google Meets, pros and cons, computer access. Do they have one that could work? Because you have to have something where you can do a Zoom meeting. It has to be a computer with a camera. Zoom and account connectivity issues. I personally have experienced this while doing PVIs under glass for the region. I had trouble with, down there I think it might say, I had trouble with my camera. All of a sudden my camera just goes out and I'm still there and I'm still talking. I'm like, I don't understand why you people can't see me, the camera. I had to unplug it and plug it back in to get it to turn back on. And there was one time I was on a Zoom meeting with somebody and we had to both leave the meeting and start the meeting over again in order for it to come back on and work. I don't know why. My equipment was fine. It was the strangest thing, but that's frustrating with Zoom meetings. So when I vocal coached the girl in Coeur d'Alene, I don't think we ever had any of that trouble. We did a good job with that. So let's see, camera availability and issues. That's my camera problem. That's why that's on there. PVI coach will need to see singer's posture, full body. So the singer has to be in a place where they can stand up and back away so that the vocal coach can see how their posture is and if they're having tension somewhere. If you're looking at someone from here up, you can't tell what they're doing in their core. Even if they're standing, you can only see this much of them. So you need to tell them you need some depth. And you need some on your side too, because you have to be able to stand up and back away from the camera to demonstrate something like the abdominals. So then make sure that it's a good and a bad thing. It helps too if they have a mirror that's close by, because you can say, look at your mouth in the mirror. Look what your tongue is doing. Look what your teeth are doing. When you sing this word, do you close your jaw? Do you open your jaw? Does your tongue go like this? Ah! You sing that, the singers, you know? Hear what it does? Back of the tongue is doing this with your airspace. How can you possibly get sound out with that? So you explain to them that the tongue is a muscle and the tongue does not sing. It's not involved in singing at all. Vocal cords are. Breathing is. Ribs, all the things, but your tongue doesn't sing. It does diction and enunciation, but it needs to get out of your throat so you can get the sound out. That's a big, big problem is tongue tension. A lot of singers. So have them look in a mirror and have them look at the back of their throat and have them watch their tongue go up and down as it does things it's not supposed to do, because they're probably not aware that that's happening. And that's why they can't get that one note that they crack on, is because they're trying to make the note instead of allow the note to be sung. So that's another thing in PVIs. Let's see, where was I? Others can be invited to watch and learn, like under glass, like we did for the region. That was wonderful. I love doing those. It's so much fun. And the students I get are amazing, and they're all open to everything. And I've had beginning and intermediate and advanced. Connie Allward got a PVI from me under glass. I've been friends with her for a long time. And I said, so why do you need a PVI? Because she can be teaching them, right? And she says, well, because of COVID, I've lost my resonance space. I can't get it back to where I was. So we worked on, you know, she's already got all the relaxation. She knows how to sing well, you know, about where to focus her tone and how to feel it in her head. And she brought it back forward and singing in the mask like she used to, and then now she's fine. But that was her concern with the whole COVID mess, because we all lost some of our skills, definitely. I mean, breathing, you lose your breathing if you don't do it all the time. So I don't mean you lose all your breathing, you lose your breath support skills. You know, I always tell my students, no air, no singing, no living either, but no singing is really what's important. So you must have air. So others watching and learning is a good thing. We had people on the under glass things that would later ask questions, and they had some wonderful questions, and it was really fun to do. You have to, it helps, pros and cons with the comfort level of the singer. Are they comfortable singing to a computer to someone far away? You know, like from Oregon to Idaho, or Oregon to Sri Lanka, whatever. And if they're comfortable, it's fine, and if they're not, how do you make them feel more comfortable? Because that's your job as a PVI giver, is to relax your students so they can do the things they want to do. Singers would need to keep their new information fresh to use during rehearsals. So their PVI online might be on Monday, and chorus rehearsal isn't until the next, Sunday night or whenever they're having it. That's a long time. So they have to practice it every day, and hopefully they're recording it like you told them to, and they can review. Otherwise they'll forget stuff. So that's a con as far as doing, online stuff, but it certainly can be done. So, okay, number 5. Any questions on that one? So far so good? It's a lot of information. Okay. Another way to do PVI is with your chorus. Instead of interrupting chorus rehearsals, instead of worrying about before and after, instead of trying Zoom, which is also a lot of individual scheduling, you could do this as part of your retreat. You go on retreat, you have them there. They're there, and they're all there, hopefully, if they can all go, right? And they're there for a couple days. So that's a perfect time to say, this chunk of time, we will be doing PVIs. And we will all work on, breath support and consistent sound and vowel tunnels or whatever it is you want to do. Give them 1 or 2 things to work on. And they can use one of the next few things to do that as a chorus. There's a way to PVI each other. And so during a retreat is a good time if you want to sacrifice some of your retreat time. If you have a very expensive coach who's coming from far away, you may not want to do that. If the coach is coming for Saturday and Sunday, then do your PVI stuff on Friday night. Warming up, PVI stuff, and then the coach comes. That works too. It all just depends on your situation and what your focus and choices are for that. So a certain amount of time is regulated. This format changes the rehearsal dynamic of the retreat somewhat. I'm supposed to say somewhat, some. Refer to formats number 1 and 2, which is back here. Before and after chorus rehearsals, you can have PVIs during breaks on a retreat. You can have them before the chorus rehearsal starts at 9. You can do PVIs from 8 to 9 after they've had their breakfast. You can do them after in the evening, or that you can use one of these during your retreat, or you can do it during the rehearsals on the first day or so, and then focus on everything that they've learned for the rest of the retreat. Let's see, here we are. All members will be present and accessible. That's good. And singers can use their training immediately. That's always a good thing. They learn it, they use it, they'll remember it quicker, and they'll use it repeatedly. And hopefully they're reminding themselves, if their thing is to remember to tuck their hips, that's enough to worry about for an entire rehearsal. Tuck your hips, breathe. Tuck your hips, oh yeah, tuck your hips. Oh yeah, lift my head. Oh, don't overload them with stuff, but give them something that's doable. Okay, any questions on that one? Retreats and things? Okay, and all day rehearsals, you can do part of that as PVIs too. So, sectional PVI coaching. So each section meets in a designated room. Singers stand in a circle. All sing a short phrase from their current song, especially if there's something where there's a difficult, something like, and the basses are going, I can't hit those notes. Well, that's not true. Everybody can hit them. They just have to understand how to use their head voice and how to sing through their passaggio and how to approach that. But all of them have those upper notes. They just don't believe that they do, or they've never accessed them. I've had some people who only sing in their chest voice, and anything beyond chest voice, they don't do it. They just won't draw the line. So you have to get them to go, woo, ah, do the siren, woo, right? Woo! Anything that goes up high gets you up into in the mask, gets you singing in your nasopharynx, which is your sinuses behind your eyes. So those will help some of those naysayers who can't do that. There are some people I've taught who literally can't get their voice to go up there. I have some little kids, like 3rd or 4th graders, they don't even know what those things are yet. They have never discovered a head voice at all. So I work with them in my 3rd grade choir on how to go, ooh, instead of just singing, because they'll just sing low notes. And they don't know that they're wrong. They're little kids, right? So you have to help them out. So the singers are in a circle, they sing a short phrase, Then each singer sings the phrase by themselves. You just do, now you do it, now you do it, now you do it, in a row, so everybody's equal. You don't spend a lot of time. You might have some who refuse to do that and say, that's fine, why don't you two sing together? Or you three sing together. Or, you could just watch for a minute and you let them get more comfortable. Never ever force them to do something they really don't want to do, because you'll lose them. And you don't want to lose them, you want to teach them. Let's see. Age singer, yeah, PVI coach gives one positive feedback and one skill improvement. So the person is standing up straight, you say, you have beautiful posture. That's fabulous. Now, when you sing, roll your shoulders a little and help free up your neck. And they'll go, oh. And then the next person, they'll say, wow, I love the tone and resonance in your voice. Because they may be pinching things off, but that instrument is there. And all you gotta do is open it up and say, now when you do this vowel, drop your jaw a little more. Right? So when you sing an E, sing E instead of E. And it'll change everything. Their voice like triples. It's huge. And then their eyes go, wow. I mean, it's fun to watch that light bulb go off. That's really what it's all about. So one positive and one skill improvement. Don't do any more than that. And make them fairly quick and go around the circle. So while these people get their skill improvement thing, they can think about it while these others are getting theirs. And they can hear other people's things. And they can say, oh, I could do that too. Or that would work with me, because they'll pick up on stuff that you're doing. That's a good thing. Let's see, singer sings alone again, and then everyone should notice the improvement, because there is guaranteed always improvement. When you give them one thing to think about and they work on that thing, it'll get better. And then you say, wow, did you hear that? Like my PVIs this morning, I used, Lori Leifer did a thing where it's called, take your voice for a walk around the room. And you sing, and you mentally sing to this corner, and then to that corner, and then to that corner. And I use this all the time. It's a great thing, because the singer would go, ah. Well, there's no real three-dimensional sound in that. It's pretty tubular. So if you go, ah, do you hear how much more life there is in that sound? It's a big difference. You don't just have, ah. And then I say, how did that feel? And they say, wow, because in their head it does this. And they love this. And I say, when you're singing, you're gonna stretch your voice. It's like having your silly putty. You stretch to that corner and stretch to that corner and stretch to that corner. And you make this big sphere of sound instead of this little tube or ball. And you just want it to have more width, more resonance. And that's a really easy way to do that. So, let's see. And then they all sing the phrase together, and then you can ask them, what do you hear? We all sang it the first time, and then we each did our one thing, and then we all sing it together. What did you hear? What did you notice? And that gets them listening too. Instead of self-incriminating, they are listening. And that way they can hear what they're doing. And they can hear the improvement in the section, because that will also unify your section, because they're listening to each other. And that's a big deal. You need them to connect. All of the hands on the shoulders and the stand in a circle and all of that stuff is great, but if you can hear the improvement after you've done this one simple thing, then it's monumental, and that will transfer into the rest of the things they do in the chorus too, because they'll start to listen to each other more, and they'll start to sing into this more, and they'll use that one thing they did, and so your quality of sound goes up, and that's always good. So any questions on that one? Okay, that's it. I like the sectional idea, because you're going into sectionals anyway, so you might as well say, instead of just beating out notes and rhythms, take a phrase and work on improving the individual singer. And that's something that's very doable in a rehearsal plan. And then pros and cons. This process can be repeated for each phrase of the song. You can do it for the entire song if you want. Give the sectionals enough time to go through the song one phrase at a time and blah, 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 go around and sing and do another phrase. If the PVI or the section leader is on top of things and doesn't let it drag, then you can get through a whole song in a certain amount of time, depending on how long you're giving them for sectionals. Uncomfortable singers can either just listen or sing in pairs or trios, and do not force singers to participate if they are visibly stressed. They can just stand there and it's okay. Someday, they will realize this is status quo and this is what we do, and maybe I can join in if I sing with somebody else, right? I had one PVI this morning, she says, well, if you sing with me. I said, okay, so I sang with her. And then we started doing some physical things, and then I would purposely drop out every once in a while and she would sing it, and then I would join back in with her, because then I could hear her. So it's kind of a little trick, but it works really well, because they get comfortable enough as they're singing, they don't need me there. At least they don't realize that yet, but they will, you know, as you do more. So, okay, so spontaneous full chorus PVIs. I was sitting there last night, I was laughing because this would be really cool. So this is one I think I maybe made up. At a predetermined time by the director and the PVI team, the chorus will face partners. Choose who is partner A and partner B. We've done similar things with visual stuff, where you face your partner and then one person sings to the other person and then they give feedback, right? Well, you can do it as a PVI too. I mean, all partner A singers sing the phrase, partner B's listen, and this is the whole chorus sings at the same time. So half the chorus is singing. So those people who are super nervous will be way less nervous with this. If they're still that nervous, you can have a little group of 3 and you can have them sing with somebody, and that's okay. Or they can just stand and listen to other groups do it, and then maybe eventually warm into it. Once again, don't force them to do anything. Partner B makes one skill improvement observation. They can also do a positive thing. All partner A sing again, partner B comments on the skill improvement, then rolls a reverse. So that's an easy way to do it. If you've got a special section of the song that is kind of it's gruesome, right? And everybody's struggling through that, have them turn and face each other and sing to each other, and then say, well, when you're going to that note, I see that, you know, you're frowning. You have the 11s coming in, right? And so you don't want the 2 creases right there, the 11s. And so then you can say, so when you go to that note, raise your eyebrows, or try to relax your face, or think of it as a happy note. Or you're singing that one too loud, sing it less. You don't need that much volume. You know, as we all have our own individual cone, those lower notes are more resonant, and as you go high, you have to cone yourself, your own sound. So as you get up on the top, you're sending it, like I say, throwing a bubble over a fence. You know, it has to just lightly drift over. So you go, oh, and you get that more resonance. When basses especially go up in those higher notes, they all freak out if it's over middle C. And they go like, I can't hit that note. I was like, yes, you can. Lighten up, don't push. You don't want to be loud. You probably had coaches tell your choruses this. You don't muscle through anything. You know, you feed it warm air, and you go, oh, and you do that, and then you can come back in. No bass should ever sing heavy anyway. They should sing resonant. It should not be, you know, making bass. I was, so my quartet that won regional, they said, remember, don't make bass. And I said, I've been a baritone for 9 years. I don't have a clue how to make bass. I didn't know what that meant. I said, I don't get that, because I'm very lyrical, and I played the cello for years. So a lot of times, like in our ballad and our contest set, it's a cello line. And I sing it like a cello line because it's that da, 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 da. And to me, it's beautiful. I love the cello. The cello resonates against your body, and this line comes out so pretty and so lyrical. I mean, why would you not want to sing that way, right? And so you don't have to go da 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 da, which I found out is what they mean by making bass, right? Aha! And I do da 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 da, and I do it that way. And as you go on a cello, as you pull the bow, the tension relaxes toward the tip, right? So you've got da, and you have this beautiful phrase ending, and it comes right off at the end, and it's no pressure, because you're pressuring more at the frog, and as you draw it to the tip, it lightens up. And it's very much, I mean, if you sing bass like that, you have the most lyrical, pretty bass section ever, because it's cellos, and they're the best. That's a total personal opinion. So let's see, and then let's see. So you can do that with your chorus. You have them stand, face each other, do a quick PVI through a section, have them make comments to each other, then you roll reverse, and do the sing it again, make a comment, sing it again, and then the whole chorus sings the phrase together. And you will notice an instant improvement in a lot of things because they focused on one thing to make it better. If everybody focuses on one thing, they're going to all be better at that one thing. And then later you can do it again and they can pick a new thing and then they're better at that thing. And you build the skills like you make a cake, one thing at a time. You don't do like my son did and take the box of brownie mix and cut off the top and dump the whole thing, including the piece of plastic from the top of the brownie mix, and throw the eggs in the middle, all in the pan, and sort of mix it up kind of, but not really, and put it in the oven. That's how he made. He was so proud of his brownies too. We were like, oh my God. I pulled out this plastic and go, Eric, this goes in the trash, sweetheart. Oh my goodness. So anyway, number 8, spontaneous triangle team chorus PVIs. How's that for a title, right? So it's just like the duos, it's with trios. So here's where you take the chorus members who are so nervous and don't want to do this. You stand in groups of 3. And if you have odd man out sort of thing, you can have a group of 2. Or you can do a group of 4 if they're that nervous. But you have 2 people sing and 1 person listen. And then they give them each tell them something they're doing good and then one thing to improve on, and then they sing it again. And then it rotates. So if A and B sing and C listens, the next time A and C are singing and B listens. And then of course C would listen, or whatever, I didn't do it. A listens and B and C sing. Yes. And you can rotate that around. So it's 3 times through the phrase, which reinforces that phrase and skill 2 more times as opposed to 1 time. So you might get more bang for your buck doing that. And 1 person is still listening and giving helpful hints. And that is a quick thing to do in a rehearsal. If you've got a phrase that's just nasty and you need to work it out, they can work things out that way. Let's see, yep, I think that's it. Now, if you have any other format ideas, let me know. We'll type them in here.
I have one.
Yeah?
I was in a chorus one time that the chorus was willing to dedicate 2 rehearsals a year to PVIs. And everybody came and did 25 minutes on a PVI and 25 minutes on a PSI, which at the time was showmanship. But so basically they had an hour that they came for, and then of course they cycle through and another group comes in. But we could cover the whole chorus in the course of a night if you have enough teachers.
That's kind of a group rotation of PVI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, the director has to be willing to give a night or 2 a year to do it, but it is in a year. So if what you really want is vocal growth in your singers, then that might be a good way that they don't have to try to figure out additional time.
Yeah.
If that's a problem for your group.
Right, and that's good because vocal growth is the goal for everybody. You know, quality of sound. There's that sound category, and then there's expression, and then there's visual communication. There's all the things, right? And so if you're going to get your singers to do that, then take them one thing at a time and that's a good way to do it too. So you rotate them in. And if it's twice a year, did that show a significant enough help to keep it at twice a year? You feel like it should be more than that?
I think so. If you can reinforce it as they go along. I mean, we did things like everybody got this little necklace that was just, it had a construction paper thing on the end, but they could write on there what their focus was for the next 3 months. And they were supposed to wear it every week, so they could flip it up and go, this time I'm doing number 2. You know,
That's good. Yeah, visual reminders are good. Yeah.
Just find ways to continue to bring it to their mind.
And keeping it at the forefront is hard because there's so many other things that get in your way. You know, you've got all this stuff you've got to do. And then you have to do the choreo. And then, you know, and all your vocal skills go out the window. And you have to marry the choreography with the vocal skills. And they should be taught together, in my opinion. I mean, I tried to do that in Pride a long time ago. And instead, what didn't work just got thrown out. I was like, we just spent all this time working on these moves that work well with the song. And then the director said, oh, well, you're not singing it right, so just don't do the moves. And I was like, so you just wasted how much of our chorus time. I was furious. That's like, as a choreographer, you know? When you choreograph musical theater, the performers on stage have to sing up to the choreography. If you're doing a square dance thing and they're skipping, they gotta breathe better and they gotta sing and they gotta breathe as often as they need to and their volume still has to be out there, and too bad. You don't do that in Sweet Adelines. They all freak out. It's like everybody jog on the risers and sing this song. And they all go, ah, because they're not used to that sort of thing. And so you give them choreography moves to help them with their physical singing skills. And it was very different for me than doing that, because I've done musical theater choreographer for years. And so in chorus, it was like, you're what? You're just saying, now sing this way. I thought, okay. So I didn't get used to that one. That was a pet peeve of mine for a long time. But I got over it. I understand. It's the genre. And you're right, you have to, they have to put it all together at some point before you go out on stage, right? And out on stage in front of the judges or in front of any audience is where it's at. And so you always work to better the ensemble as a whole. So, other than that, there are more information and training docs. Please see the last 2 pages of my information. I went on the excuse me, chorus. I just typed in PVI documents, and there was all these things about vocal skills from all these incredible people that are on there, and things from people we don't have with us anymore, like Sharon Babb, and it was like, and Carol Kay, and there's all these people that it was so nice to see their work there that is still there. So you can go and you can find, I found 25, okay? So I put 25 in here. I have a printout of this here. So my last 2 pages look like this. I know, they're numbered and there's the URL to go to, and you can call it right up and read it. And you can learn so much stuff, and that's only 25. There were pages, I don't even know how many pages of documents there are. That's a lot. Think of the information that's at your fingertips that you don't access. And it's right there. All you have to do is do that, and it comes up. And so here are some instant links for you, at least. Like this one is resonance, what is it, and how do I get some? Kim Vaughn, I love her. She's like, she did that with us. Caring for the instrument, Darlene Rogers, another brilliant person. The voice at all ages, Darlene Rogers. Teacher's approach to communication and coaching. If you're going to teach a PVI, you should know how teachers think. Building recovering vocal stamina with speech therapy. There are so many things on here that you can use, and that's only the first 4 or 5. Deciphering the code, vowels and consonants. The stuff is there, so use it. And assign 1 page per chorus member, and they can read it all, and then they can give a little synopsis to the chorus or something, and everybody can learn that way. But yeah, it was amazing the amount of material. It's already there. Don't reinvent the wheel, use the wheel and make wheels even better. So that should be a t-shirt. Anyway, I welcome questions and suggestions. Please reach out to me. That's my name. I'm currently chapter at large because of many reasons. Moving, selling my house and my parents' house and property, and being the executor of the estate. This is a big reason. And buying a house and moving in 6 months. Yeah, did that this last year. So, and all the other things that are going on in my life. But I'm in Twist Quartet. I'm also in a quartet called On Cue, and it's with Kim Chadwick on bass and me on baritone, and my good friend Christy Hinckley on tenor, who's also in my Twist Quartet. And then Kathy Cummins is a beautiful singer who has ALS. Talk about people who have disabilities. ALS is supposed to kill you in 1 to 3 years, and she's had it 15 plus. And she's one of the few people whose lungs regenerate after she's had issues. She's an Olympic athlete. Talk about work ethic, right? She's a beautiful voice, and we sing very lightly with her. And don't worry about breath support with Kathy. It's not very loud, but it's such a pretty sound, and it just locks every time, and people close to my heart. So anyway, so I'm doing that right now. But there's my email, there's my phone number. You're welcome to shoot me an email, say, hi, I was in your class, I have a question about, and I will answer it to the best of my ability, or find you the answer, one or the other. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
That's it. We're done. We did it. I made it in the amount of time allotted. Maybe I went over 4 minutes. That's pretty good for someone who always has to have alarms. So have a great rest of the weekend.
Thank you, you too.
Absolutely. Too much fun.